I wanted to share a piece from my book and talk about some reader questions that I've gotten. I wanted to share some thoughts and some things from my writing. Um, yeah, so I'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm going to start by reading a journal entry that I have in one of the later chapters about fighting perfectionism. So this, if you have the book, it's on page 149. Journal entry, July 2023. I am finding that the layers of perfection run deeper than I thought. Areas that I thought I was okay with meeting the average standard are starting to bother me. I can feel myself raising the stakes. Instead of walking around the house feeling comfortable and rested, I'm looking for projects, tasks, and cleaning. And then I have an inner dialogue about how I can never get it all done. It's wearing me out. No one else is setting these impossible standards for me. No one else cares. Why do I feel like my home needs to be perfectly clean, extremely organized, and tidy all the time? If I take a quiet moment to be honest with myself, I can see that worry and perfection about my house are actually masking some emotions that I don't want to deal with right now. I think that I'm avoiding processing some things by keeping busy on the outside. So I guess this is another layer I need to work through. That was, excuse me, that was just a super vulnerable journal entry that I included in my book. There's quite a few of them. Often I included journal entries at the beginning of each chapter, kind of talking about like where I was in that place that has to deal with what that chapter is about. So, perfection is something that I definitely have to fight against on a continual basis. It's something that I'm noticing keeps cropping up as we start our school year. Each of my kids has mentioned to me that they've been struggling with perfection in the past couple days, just wanting to get everything done, wanting to just do their very best, but even more than that, they want to get 100%. So it's not good enough that they understand the math concept and that they've completed the lesson well and that they've gotten, a 90 something. They want to get 100. And yes, I think that's great to try to always do our best and to get excellent scores or whatever, but also the learning is what's important there. It's not necessarily the 100 points or whatever it is. And I do that in my home. I do that in all areas. And so perfection is just something that it's been a battle. It is a battle. It continues to be. I think that's just going to be something that I'm always going to deal with. It's always going to be something that I struggle with because of just my personality. So I think putting things in perspective really matters. And when I do that, I always feel like I have some space from the perfection monster that I kind of I get to have some breathing room from it. So that is a question that I had gotten about perfectionism and kind of some conversations that I've had recently in my life with some people. And so I wanted to share that with you. And then another question that I've gotten recently was what is a piece of feedback that has really stayed with you? So my oldest daughter, she is a college student, and we were on a trip together. It was just a girls' trip. It was the two of us. We were at a coffee shop where we were co-working. She was working on some of her summer assignments. I was working on my writing, and I had a notification come up on my phone, and I looked down at my phone. And I go through and look through the notification, and I just start like quietly like crying. The tears before I even realized what was happening. The tears were just falling down my face. And it was just such a beautiful day. The we were at this cafe where the garage doors were open and we're in this like seating where it's just like this beautiful weather. We were enjoying where we were. We had like cafe sandwiches and coffees and I had the most amazing chai latte and it was just such a nice moment. And then here I am sitting there crying and Mary looks over at me and she's like, what is happening on your phone? What's going on? And it was a notification that I had gotten from Substack that that someone had posted a photo of the ocean out in front of them, and then my book and my book guide that they had printed, sitting there with some flip flops, and just it looked like a really wonderful vacation scene. And she said that her year has been really difficult. And this trip that she's on was a family trip where they were just going to relax and rejuvenate. And she brought my book and my book guide with her to her trip. And it was just what she needed in that moment to kind of feel refreshed and to feel like herself again and to kind of step away from that hustle and burnout. And it was the first time that I had seen a photo from somebody that I didn't know personally, and that they were being affected by my book. And it meant so much to me. It just was so significant. It really like caught me off guard. It was, it was such a wonderful gift to me in that moment because as I was sitting there writing in this beautiful cafe, co-working with my daughter, I was having so much fun with her, but I was really kind of struggling with my writing. I was like, what do I want to work on? What will people want to read? What will be helpful to people? I really want to be practical and helpful. And I wasn't quite sure what to work on next. And that message came in and it was just it lifted my spirits. It buoyed me, like it kept me afloat. And it was just such a significant, cool thing that, you know, this person lives in England and I love to visit there when the budget will allow me. But honestly, it's probably not a place that I will get to go to very often. And I know she probably doesn't come to the States and especially to Arizona specifically. And so just the fact that something I have written has met her where she needed to be, but it's not something I could ever do in person. It was a really cool experience that that my words could help someone else in a place where they really needed it. And it was really exciting to receive that feedback. So that was a piece of feedback that has stayed with me. And I just have like that visual memory of that moment. Um, and it's not very often that I just burst into tears. Like that's not normal for me. So it was just a really significant moment. So and I'll do one more quick reader question. Let's see. What does subtle resistance look like? Let me try that again. What does subtle resistance look like in my life right now? Um, so subtle resistance, it's all about choosing a life that makes sense for you and not something that other people have chosen for you. Um, and it also means choosing what makes sense in this season. So right now, for me in my life, I'm in back to school season. We started at the beginning of August because most of the schools around us started at the end of July because it's just so ridiculously hot. It makes sense to have a more year-round schedule. Um, and so my kids got a little bit more extra time when the public school kids went back, but I decided to go ahead and start us off at the beginning of August. And so we're in back to school season. I'm trying to kind of plan out what my writing is going to look like for this next year. Um, I am organizing my home because I can't really do a lot of outside projects right now. So I am kind of redefining like what needs to be in different closets and what needs to be cleaned up and just all the things that I've been avoiding doing for a while. I've been procrastinating on. Um so I guess the way that I have been resisting hustle culture or trying to do too much or avoiding overwhelm has just been to say no to things that don't fit for this season. Um, I'm very careful with what we agree to do outside of our house, like activities. And both of my kids have decided to not do like any extra sports or anything like that right now. And so that is super helpful for our schedule. It means I'm not going to be spending evenings driving places, which is really wonderful. Um, it also means that like there's different areas where I'm starting to invest more time. Like I'm volunteering at church more right now. I'm helping with high school ministry and small groups. And so that means that I'm going to have less time in those in other ways. And so just making choices about like what I'm committing to and what is going to fit into this season. And it doesn't mean that I'm not ever going to do those things again. It just means that maybe right now the answer is no. So, um, yeah, I'm very happy and optimistic about our schedule right now. It looks very manageable. But I have to be careful because oftentimes I create a manageable schedule and then I add one more little thing in and then, oh, and this'll be good. And oh, let's just stick this in. And oh, this is only once a month. And then suddenly every single week is like packed. So um I have to be careful with saying no and I have to be careful with adding new things in because um even something that seems small, there's preparation for it, there's money involved, there's driving, there's, all the things. So so that's where I'm at. Well, it was really great to pop in and just say hi to all of you. I have spent some downtime this summer. I just scheduled quite a few posts and had some downtime so I can be living my life well with my kids while they're home from college and really just reading books and spending some downtime. I've been painting. I've been doing watercolor painting with my youngest, and that's been a lot of fun. We've been experimenting with YouTube videos, and it's nothing super fancy, but it's been fun to be creative and experiment, and also just doing some writing that I'm not posting quite yet. It's been really good to have that space and that time. So, but I'm also excited for this next year and what's going to be happening in my writing. I'm excited for Substack. I am so thankful for this community that's growing and becoming a place where people feel appreciated and they can see the good things that they're already doing. I just love how encouraging everybody is in the comments and when I get to interact with you online or whatever. So, all right, have a beautiful day.